Struggling with tight hamstrings? Let's investigate why might be a reason. First, some anatomy. You have 3 hamstrings. They attach up top at the pelvis at the ischial tuberosity or your sit bone and run down the back of the thigh connecting to both your tibia and your fibula on the medial and lateral sides. You also have a 4th often neglected hamstring that is part of one of your adductor muscles called adductor magnus that attaches also to the ischial tuberosity and runs down the medial and posterior part of the thigh. Because the hamstrings attach at the pelvis, we need the pelvis to be able to move on the thigh when forward bending to really stretch and open the hamstrings and move the proximal attachments away from the distal attachments. So you can see here the stickers are my ischial tuberosities, and I need them to move apart and upward to stretch the hamstrings. That's my pelvis moving on my femur, versus here where there's little to no sticker movement or pelvis movement. And you can also see I have to bend or flex my spine a lot more, which ends up stretching and loading my back muscles rather than my intended target of the hamstrings. So let's restore this pelvic movement over the thigh bones. Sit upright in a chair and rock through posterior and anterior tilts of the pelvis. And then come forward into your anterior tilt and maintain it as you do a little hip hinge forward over your thighs. Try this a couple of times, trying to maintain that anterior tilt as you shift forward. Increase the demand by bringing your hands behind your head and doing the same movement pattern. And then you can further progress this as you come forward by bringing your feet in a little bit closer, shifting forward, keeping that anterior tilt, and then just hovering your seat up off of the chair. So again, little hip hinge, moving that pelvis over your thigh bones. You can also practice the same hip hinge pattern from a quadruped position, maintaining a little bit of an anterior tilt as you shift those hips back, avoiding tucking under or rounding, but just finding how long you can maintain that hinge as you go. And then lastly, to get that 4th neglected hamstring, the hamstring part of the adductor magnus muscle, we'll do a kicked out quadruped with pelvic rotations and anterior and posterior tilts. And then you'll maintain a bit of that anterior tilt as you practice your hinge backs here, and you might find a nice groin stretch as you do that. Now retest your forward bend and read the caption here for more.